Because I know white folks I also know white folks who are from America too. They were like, I never really seen black people before and stuff. You know, I never really had them in my village. You know, they were coming from
Not
like
village,
Washington. They were from Washington State. They're from Washington
Town,
State,
no
though.
village.
You know, or town, town or village.
You don't have villages in America. Everything's big.
No villages, no.
You don't have village. Yeah, you gotta have like countryside.
I don't have villages.
We don't call anything villages here. It's towns, cities, states, that kind of thing. No village.
Have you ever watched an American film and they've said village in it? Think about it.
Actually, none of you.
No, they never.
So, but what I mean by village, maybe more like the countryside. You know, the countryside.
Yeah.
Bush. Can I jump in there? I think one of those reasons, even though I'm not American, you've got to remember that America as a country is probably 30 times the size of the UK.
Mm-hmm.
We ain't got enough space to be segregated.
That's a great point.
Everyone else has to be a host. We've all got to live next to each other, man. There's no choice.
No choice. That's funny. Maybe we need to cut part of it off, and then. So I would say, Stalio, we are segregated in certain entities, like church, for example.
Mm.
That is definitely segregated.
Yeah.
Although now you will find that bursting on the scenes, there are more integrated churches. People are starting to embrace diversity, but there's still a lot of churches that are not segregated, not integrated. Our neighborhoods are starting to become more integrated.
Okay.
So, the workplace is definitely integrated now. We all work together. I do think there are some parts of this country, just to be frank with you, I will not step a toe in. Yeah. Like Mississippi, Alabama, those parts of the deep, deep South where, sundown laws used to prevail and, the KKK came out of, they still have those backwards attitudes. Those areas are still segregated by choice, not necessarily legally, but they're still, the black state of themselves, the white state of themselves. And, when they pass each other in a town, it's a fake, hi, how are you? But then behind closed doors,
they're plotting on each other. Like,
so those areas, they're still red states, meaning they vote diehard Republican. And listen, I voted Republican before in my life too, but I would not in this current climate, absolutely not. So you do still have to be mindful within the United States, but there's still many, I found that in the cities, people that live in the more cosmopolitan areas like DC, New York, LA, some of those cities, you tend to find lots of diversity. And when you've been exposed to diversity, you kind of have no choice but to appreciate what diversity brings.
Yeah.
So I honestly, I haven't experienced racism here that I know of. Now I've experienced it in the South.
Yeah, sure.
Definitely. Sure. But I've never experienced, I have friends that are white that come over to my house. My kids are down the street right now playing with my white neighbor.
Yeah, okay.
Whom I adore. So, it just depends on the area that you live in.
Okay. I got a question. So you're the president and founder of a Prince William County chapter of Mocha Moms.
Mocha Moms, yep.
Mocha Moms. Is that Prince William from obviously England, or is that which Prince William?
Yes, but this is the county. So we have like counties that our cities are in. So it's the county.
Okay. Prince William County. Okay. But it does refer to the Prince of England.
Yep. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Then, I've got a question. Obviously, the politics one. Why is it that there's no other parties other than the Democrats and the Republicans?
There are. You just don't hear about
them.
They're very small. There's a Green Party, Independent Party.
Yeah.
But those are the ones that have more support. So more support means more what? More money. Yep. More money means more what? Advertising. So that's why you hear about the Democrats and the Republicans. The independent parties and the smaller parties, they can't afford to do national huge ads because they don't have that much support poor.
Do you think if you could mobilize the black community to get behind a party, I'm not necessarily saying Black Lives Matter, but a party which was for them. Now, I'm not saying that they would get elected, but most certainly, it'd make a dent in the other two. So when you think about it, if you're taking 16% of your country are going to say, we're not voting for any of you guys, we're voting for this one party. And if we vote for them, we can take over certain town halls or whatever, and we're going to spend our money within the black community as well. I mean, that would be a huge way of making a bloody statement, because even if the Hispanics and the African Americans came together and just said, right, we're going to form our own party, and this is it. You want democracy? Fine, you can have democracy. Let's vote. That could be seismic.
I think what you can't underestimate is that a lot of the voting is regional too, isn't it? So you have a lot of, like, even in the regional polling stations, of it's blue and red. You know, there's never anybody else in there. Is there any states that you know of that have maybe a liberal in charge or a green, Greenpeace or someone? Do you know anyone, Ms. Smalls?
No states that have Greenpeace in charge. I mean, yeah. You do have some states, like I said, that will vote. You know, you vote, the Electoral College, you vote pretty much as a state. And so your state will either vote, depending on how many electors you have, it will either be, Republican or Democrat.
Yeah. So you don't even have a choice. Regionally, you don't have a choice.
That doesn't seem fair, though, because it ain't fair.
It's not fair.
I mean, you're numbered with the guy that they've brought back to life and the guy that they've brought back to life. It's like,
I mean, this year is not very good it doesn't look good for the Americans this year, I would say.
Well, you make a great point. So here's the thing: we are hoping. So let me back up. A lot of people did not vote. A lot of people do not vote because they just feel they don't have faith in the system, right? They don't trust politicians as a whole. Yeah. So they're just like, well, why should I even waste my time? Yeah. So this year, we are really pushing to get everybody to vote. And if we can get everybody to vote, we can get the racist, out of the White House.
Well, I've heard talk on the grapevine, but potentially he could bring Mr. Obama back as one of his right-hand men. If he does.
Unlikely.
Obama's not coming back. He's not. No. I think he's over it. I'm sure he's over it. I think he did what he came to do and move out. And the thing you have to worry about is the racist has done so much damage that someone else is going to have to clean up. Yeah. So who really wants that job right now?
Can't put a black guy in there.
We got to go with who we have. I think Biden is the strongest person that has, submitted himself, that has thrown his name in the hat. So we're just going to run with him.
Anyway, let's move off this, because I want to talk a little bit about your book, The Black Girl's Guide to Healing Emotional Wounds.
You got it.
Woo. Because I actually wrote it down here, and I was like, I'm going to write this down so I know.
So the synopsis I'm reading. I wish my father had been present in my life, so I would not have accepted a lot of crap from men.
Can we break it down bullet point to bullet point? Because I want to know, like, obviously, what was the inspiration behind, obviously, this book? What made you think, I'm going to write this book? Because
that excerpt is what it is.
I mean, yeah, you could blame the dad, you could blame boyfriend, you could blame the mom also too. I know women who've just been destroyed by their mom because of the stuff they've had to go through. So it could be anything.
He's trying to get in now.
Yeah, it kicked me out. My own computer kicked me out the meeting. Hello.
Talking to myself. I was like, where is everybody?
Okay. So did you get sorry, can you repeat what you said? I'm sorry.
I can. Okay. So I was saying that, the bulk of my inspiration for the book came from my conversations with girlfriends, as well as assessing my own behavior. Because the reality of it is, some behaviors that we display is toxic behavior, is self-sabotaging behavior. So I wanted to understand where this behavior came from, and then give a prescription of how we can heal from all of this and resolve this behavior. It's not so much about pointing out who's right and who's wrong, but it's just trying to understand the origin of the behavior. So for example, if you understand that you have mommy issues, right? That maybe your mom was too much of an authoritative figure. Maybe she didn't have conversations with you about sex. Maybe you had to find out on your own. Maybe you couldn't trust your mom. Maybe you felt that she was too harsh. Then you, as a mother, you have a power to change that for your child. So it's all about breaking down those generational cycles so that we can be better people for the next generation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Because if you think of most certainly our parents' upbringing and their parents' upbringing, it was based on a different set of rules in terms of how they dealt with us. Spare the rod, spare the child. I don't know, but the rod used to get brought out a lot of times, and they thought that was the right thing to do. Well, guess where they learned that from?
The master. Once again.
And that's the thing. We bring a lot of things over from slavery. That is the reality of it. We bring a lot of things over from slavery, and not only that. After slavery, during Reconstruction, during the Civil Rights era, we were in survival mode, right? So poverty, when you are dealing with poverty, that impacts the way you parent. You can't parent the same way someone that is upper middle class is. If you're in low income, just worried about food on the table, right? I mean, that's what Maslow's hierarchy of needs tell us, right? You're not able to be fully functioning and be creative as a parent if you are just like, can I afford dinner? If that's your focus, I just need to afford dinner for tonight, you know? So it's those kinds of things that I really want to address. And one of the things I talk about is we have to forgive our parents, because I really truly believe they did the best they could with what they had. You know, and we have to, because I know a lot of people, including myself, I'll be honest with you, I was angry for a period of time. I was angry at my mom, you know, and I was angry at my dad, and I had to let it go. I had to just accept, you know, this is the way it was. That's all they knew. And they went with what they knew, not to hurt me, because they thought that it would make me better.
Absolutely. And I think, you know, I think reflection as an adult, as you get older and you do look back, and I think the moment when you can see your behavior based on a circumstance and actually say, oh, I'm not going to behave like that because I know that I'm behaving like that because of that situation. That's when you've cracked it. And that kind of resilience, if we can teach our young people these skills at an early age, they'll start to just grow as individuals, because they, you know, if you know your behavior, if you know your behavior and you know how you can react in any situation, it means that if you're, rather than being angry and lashing out, you can turn it to your advantage. You can take a step back, you can take a deep breath, you can, you know, talk to that person about why they've said what they've said, rather than just giving them a chop box because that's what you think is the right thing to do. You know, we've come from a world which has been very much male orientated, dominated, ruled by force and whatever. And, you know, in the last 10 years, 5-10 years, we now realised that, hold on a second, that isn't the right way to live. We've tried that for the last 10,000 years. Let's look at doing something different. And the world can only become better for it, because there's a lot of problems out there right now for young people, especially. I was kind of old school up until a year ago. It was like, they're young people, man. I have everything, man. I have computer, I have this. We don't have to go to no library to answer the go on computer. You know what I mean? And I thought, I've got it all. If I live now, I'll be a king. But the reality is, a lot more pressure than what I had. I didn't have to worry about whether I was going to fit in a pair of jeans, or I didn't have to worry about whether my nails were manicured. I didn't have to worry about whether I had a £200 pair of trainers. Yeah, there's people at my school who had money, but that was pretty much what everyone feels they have to now conform. I couldn't have lived in this world. I've been boxing people left, right, and centre. For the moment someone said to me, why ain't you got one of them, and called me poor, bash, you know what I mean? So I think they've got it harder now, body conscious. You know, girls are conscious about themselves at 12, come on, man.
You're
Play
saying
with
that.
Barbie dolls and blowing bubbles and, you know, so I think it's a tough world for them. So anything that can kind of get mothers thinking so that they can help their young people to think can only be a positive.
Yeah, does your book address external influences on your emotions at some point? Because like Nigel said, like my daughter is already, I can already see it now. She wants these clothes and she wants to look this particular way. She wants to wear makeup. I'm like, you're 6
What?
years old, man. You're
Yes,
6. Yeah.
Tell her that Uncle Nigel said,
she wants a
no makeup.
Yeah, she wants a phone.
No makeup.
She wants every time she comes back, she's like, "Oh, but this girl has this on her room, and this." And I'm like, and I'm thinking, all this stuff is damaging my daughter already. I got no chance.
Tell her, right? Tell her she can have a phone as soon as she gets her first job.
Yeah, absolutely. You know,
as soon as she gets her first job.
But is it wrong for example, me? I'm kind of like, you know, I was raised in a harsh environment, a little bit more harsh, and we didn't have we wanted for everything. You know, say you didn't want for nothing. We wanted for everything.
Yeah, but that was
yeah. So I kind of like try and raise my kids. I don't want to give them everything, but I'm like, okay, if they want that, you know, I'll try and give them that. You know,
make them earn it in a way that they see the reward of progressing themselves.
Yeah.
Whether that's education, whether that's a new skill that she's going, maybe she's learning an instrument.
Well, I got on the piano.
Okay.
I got on the piano.
Right. Okay. So once you can play a piece of music just by reading the notes or a particular piece of music, that could be a reward. So you then show him that, look, man, you can have what you want in life. You have to put something in to get it. It really saddens me now.
Is that damaging her though?
No, not like that.
Let me say this, Alistalio, to something you said. A lot of Black people in America align with the thought that you just made. You have a lot of Black people in America that are parents today, right?
Yeah.
That may have come from disadvantaged backgrounds.
Yeah.
They want it, like you described. They want it for everything. So now, you know, now they're middle class to upper middle class, right? They can afford the things. So they are giving their children all of the
everything they didn't,
that they want. So it's like they're living through their children. But you know, the thing about it is you have to have a balance.
Yeah.
Because parenting is all about raising children to be successful adults. Like, you want them to go out on their own, to be independent. Part of that comes from them earning. They have to understand. I tell my kids all the time that in this world, you have to earn and work hard for every single thing you get. And it's hard sometimes, you know, I get it. My daughter is like, for the cell phone, like it was one week, I was like, if you ask me about a cell phone again, I'm gonna scream. So I get it, right? And I'm talking about the cell phones today. Like, she's specific. She wants an iPhone 11 Max. She's very specific.
You know, expensive.
Ouch.
And I'm like, do you know how much that costs? Like, you don't even keep your room clean and you want that.
Yeah.
So for me, it's like, I told my daughter, I was like, you have to show me responsibility before we can even think about you getting a cell phone. Because if you're not responsible with the small things, I can't trust you with something big.
Yeah.
So it's all about earning. Yeah, it's easy to go out and get the phone or whatever, because in her school, a lot of her peers have cell phones.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you know, and that's the thing. We have to teach our children who they are. And that's something that didn't happen to us as young Black kids. You know, our parents didn't affirm us, right? They didn't teach us who they were, because many times our parents were busy working.
Yeah, they were gone.
You know, they didn't have the time to have healthy conversations with us. So when we get out on our own, we're here trying to figure out who we are. So our job as parents today, we have to show them who they are so that they won't attach their identity to things, to titles. Because when you attach your identity to things and titles and all of those other material things that don't mean anything, when that thing is gone, you're left empty. So that's why we see suicide. That's why we see kids abusing pills and drugs and so on. because they don't know how to cope. They don't know who they are.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's
So the moral of that story, mate, is kind of job first, no lipstick, no boyfriend.
Tell her when she can play Beethoven's Ninth, then she can have the phone.
Mate, seriously though, if she's learning the piano, like Miss Small says, link it to her achieving, because it actually means something. And the next time she wants something, she will almost welcome. Ooh, what can I learn next, Daddy? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You create a little prodigy there, man. So
the thing is,
I think the only fear for me is that I've seen, I've got friends who give, and they say the kids then turn out bad. You see, they're rude. They don't know what. When they hear the word no, they throw themselves on the floor, man, and have tap. No. Oh, don't raise the monster. Don't raise the monster.
I agree. And that was my thing. That was my biggest thing to my husband. I was like, I'm not raising spoiled brats. I do not want spoiled brats. Because spoiled brats grow up to be spoiled brats in the workplace.
Boom.
That woman in the cubicle next to you that's spazzing out because she can't get her way.
Yeah. Boom.
That's that child that got everything when they were kids.
Yeah. You can, and it's really funny because as you become older, you can actually see, how people were brought up. Whether they had siblings, whether they were only children, whether they were, like you say, spoiled. It's crazy because people play out their adult lives as their child lives.
Oh yes.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, you're having
Absolutely.
this tantrum because. And when people have a meltdown for like what to you is a real small thing, but it's because they're not used to hearing the word no, or they're used to things that's being done for them. So
Okay.
I completely agree.
Anyway, going back to the book, so how do you kind of go around the fact that some people have been abused when they're young? How do you address that situation? Is that something that you address at all?
So that's intense trauma, right? And that can cause PTSD.
Yeah.
If someone has, and the reality of it is, I think the statistics are in the U.S. 80% of us that grew up between like the 70s that were born between the 70s and the 80s, right, were abused.
Yeah.
So, there's a lot of that out there. My thing is you have to get therapy. You have to find that safe space to talk about that because there's a lot there when you are dealing with abuse and when you feel that intrusion, your defense mechanisms kind of rise up and you're ready to go. So it's very